Welcome dear students for the grade 12 economics class of St. Peter's College, Colombo 4, Negombo branch. Today we will be talking about the behavior of a perfectly competitive firm in the industry. So earlier in our lesson, we have discussed the characteristics of the four different market structures, and out of that perfect competition is one. So before starting today's section, I would like to refresh what we have learned about the perfect competition in our previous lesson. So by definition, perfect competition is a market structure where there are large number of sellers producing homogeneous products and there are no barriers to enter or exit the market. So in that particular market structure, there are certain salient features, and here I have listed down those features, and in that the first one you can see there are very large number of buyers and sellers in that particular market, and all the producers are producing homogeneous products, so all the products are perfectly substitutable in that particular market. And the third point is we consider the firm as a price taker because the size of the firm is quite small due to the large number of firms in the market, and therefore its market share is relatively small, and therefore the power the firm has to influence the market is very negligible. So that's why the firm has to act according to what market says, or else to take the price given by the market. And the next point is there is no barrier to enter the market or exit the market. Again, that is because of the size of the firm and the number of firms playing in that market. Then it says that all the buyers and sellers have perfect knowledge about the market, and whatever the information regarding the market can be obtained without any cost. Then the next point is there are no barriers to factor mobility. It is because the products in that particular market are homogeneous, so the factors are perfectly substitutable for whatever the product produced by different producers. Then the next point says all the firms will earn only normal profits in the long run. That is because there are no barriers to enter the market. And the last point it says about the firm's demand curve, which is perfectly elastic. And I'll be taking the last point forward to continue the lesson today. So I think you all are familiar with this diagram, and in this particular diagram, in the second part, you can see the individual firms demand curve, which is perfectly elastic. That is because we said that the firm in a perfectly competitive market is known as a price taker, where that particular firm has to take the equilibrium market price decided by the market, and the firm has to offer whatever the quantity it likes to offer at the given market price. So the firm cannot change the price at which they offer the product to the market. So then let's look at what are the impacts of this particular scenario. So let's look at the revenue concepts which are applicable for a firm in the perfectly competitive market. So here the first one is talks about the total revenue, and you know how to calculate the total revenue. It is the price into the quantity sold. So here there are few statistics given regarding the quantity offered to the market and the price at which the quantities are offered. So here you can see the price is same regardless of whatever the quantity offered in the market. So this is because the firm is a price taker. So this price will be the equilibrium market price in a perfectly competitive market. So then let's look at what will happen to the total revenue. So you can see the total revenue is calculated by multiplying the quantity from the price, and you can see the total revenue figures are given in the last column. Accordingly, this graph is drawn and you can see the total revenue curve starts from the origin and it slopes upward, and it's increasing at a constant rate. So that is the particular nature of the total revenue curve faced by a perfectly competitive firm. So here the important point is given at the bottom of this slide. It says the total revenue curve starts from the origin and increases at a constant rate. Then let's look at the average revenue curve. So with the same information we looked at in the previous slide, we can calculate the average revenue as well. So you know how to calculate the average revenue. It is the total revenue divided by the quantity sold, and based on that information, here you have the average revenue figures, and you can see it is equal to the price of the product. So at each given quantity, the price is the same, as well as the average revenue also the same as the price. So based on that, the average revenue curve is drawn. So you can see it is a horizontal line parallel to the quantity axis, and the special feature of the average revenue curve is also given at the bottom. It says the average revenue curve is a horizontal line parallel to the quantity axis, and it lies on the unit price. Then let's go to the marginal revenue curve. So you know how to calculate the marginal revenue. It is the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity. So with the same information, here we have calculated the marginal revenue. And another special thing you can observe, the marginal revenue is also again same as the price of the product here. So you can see the price is 4 rupees, and at each quantity, change in quantity, the marginal revenue is also 4 rupees per unit. So if we draw the marginal revenue curve, the special feature you can see from the marginal revenue curve is it is again a horizontal line parallel to the quantity axis, and it lies on the unit price. So what happens if we draw all the three curves in one diagram? So here again I have given you the same information which we have looked at earlier, and you can see all the curves are drawn on one diagram, but it is the same again, because in a perfectly competitive firm, the price equals the demand equals the average revenue as well as the marginal revenue. So in a perfectly competitive firm, the demand curve will also be equals to the marginal revenue curve as well as to the average revenue curve, and all the three equals to the price of the product in that particular firm or else in that particular market. Then let's go to the next section. It talks about the constraints and the decisions which a perfectly competitive firm will face or to take when they are doing business in a perfectly competitive market. As you know, the short run, we are discussing about the short run behavior, and as you know, the short run is a time period which is not sufficient to change all the factors, all the inputs what a firm uses. So it is not sufficient to change the fixed factors of the firm. So in the short run, the firm can change only the variable input. So therefore, it cannot change the capacity, or else it has to operate at a given technology. And again, according to the market feature, the perfectly competitive firm has to act as a price taker, where it cannot influence the price stipulated by the market. So therefore, these are the two constraints faced by a perfectly competitive firm in the industry in the short run. It has to take the market price, and it has to operate under the given technology and the given capacity. So with these two constraints, let's look at what decisions a firm has to take in the short run. As you know, when we are doing business, either we can make profits or losses. So the same principles apply to the perfectly competitive firm as well. So when doing their operations, they might face profits as well as losses. In case if they are making losses, the decision they have to make is whether they will continue with losses, or else should they shut down the firm and exit the market. So that is one of the decisions a perfectly competitive firm has to take in the short run. The second decision is, if they decide to operate, what is the optimum quantity they should produce to the market. So in our next section, we'll look at how we decide the optimum quantity which has to offer to the market. So that decision can be taken using two approaches. So here we have the two approach. One is the total revenue and the total cost approach. The second one is based on the marginal revenue and the marginal cost approach. So let's look at each of these approaches separately, and let's look at how the firm decides the optimum quantity. So here we have the first approach, where the total revenue and total cost approach. So here we are going based on the economic profit, and you know how to calculate the economic profit. It is the difference between the total revenue and the total cost. Here the formula is given on how to calculate the economic profit, and we know how to calculate the total revenue. It is the price into the quantity, and previously we have learned how to calculate the total cost. It comprises of both fixed cost and the variable cost. So the total cost equals to the total fixed cost and the total variable cost. So based on this information, the optimum quantity is decided by looking at what quantity the firm's economic profit will be maximized, or else the quantity at which the economic profit is maximized is taken as the optimum quantity here. So you can see there are two diagrams. One is the total revenue curve of a perfectly competitive firm, which we have discussed earlier, and the next graph shows the total cost curve. This is also familiar to you. You can see the total fixed cost curve here, which is a horizontal line parallel to the output axis. And then you can see the total variable cost curve starts from the origin, and you know this particular shape is due to the diminishing marginal returns, and the total of these two will give you the total cost curve, which is above the total variable cost curve and parallel to that, but it starts from the point where your fixed cost curve starts. So here I have drawn both the total revenue curve and the total cost curve in one diagram. You can see the straight line shows you the total revenue curve, and here you have the total cost curve. And as we have learned, the profit is the difference between the total revenue and the total cost. So therefore, this area will show you how much of profits you can earn in this particular situation. So if you take the first part, you can see the total cost curve lies above the total revenue curve. So therefore, the firm will have economic losses. And in the second part, you can see the total revenue curve lies above the total cost curve, and therefore the firm is making economic profit. And after that, again the total cost curve comes above the total revenue curve and again start making losses. So for this information, if we draw the total profit curve, you can see, as I said, at the first stage up to the quantity Q1, the firm is making economic losses. So therefore your total profit curve is negative. In the second part, you can see the firm is earning economic profits. So the curve is positive here. Again, it comes to the negative side where when the firm is making economic losses. So now the firm has to decide at which point of this will give them the maximum profit. So as we know, the profit is the difference between these two curves, and this area shows that, and the gap between the maximum gap between these two curves, the total revenue curve and the total cost curve, will give you the maximum economic profit. So that you can see, if you look at the total profit curve, the curve is at its peak when the gap between total revenue and the total cost curve is at maximum. So here you can see the difference, the gap is higher in this particular point than any other points. So that's why it says the total profit is at maximum in that particular point. So therefore the firm has to take this particular quantity as the optimum quantity to produce when they are operating in the market. So that's how they decide the optimum quantity based on this total revenue and the total cost approach. Then we have the next approach where the marginal revenue and the marginal cost is considered. So you know, in a perfectly competitive firm, as we have learned earlier, price equals demand equals average revenue and the marginal revenue. And we know how to calculate the marginal revenue. It is the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity. And we know how to calculate the marginal cost. It is again the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity. So then, based on this, the optimum quantity will be decided, where the quantity at which the marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. At the point where the firm's marginal revenue equals to the marginal cost will be taken as the optimum quantity to produce. So let's look at that. So here you have given the marginal revenue curve. So you know it's again a horizontal line parallel to the quantity axis, and it's equal to the price of a perfectly competitive firm. And in the next diagram you have the marginal cost curve, which takes the U shape, and it is again because of the diminishing marginal returns. So if we draw both the curves together in one diagram, you can see here you have the marginal revenue curve and the marginal cost curve, and our approach says the optimum quantity should be the point where the marginal revenue equals the marginal cost, but we are facing a problem now. We have 2 points where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Are both the points gives the optimum quantity? So we have to check that. In order to decide that, there is another condition coming in. So here it says at the optimum quantity, the marginal cost curve should slope upwards, or else there should be a positive slope, or else the marginal cost curve should be increasing. So if you take the point A, it again at point A also you can see the marginal revenue equals to the marginal cost, but you can see the marginal cost curve is sloping downwards. So the second condition is not satisfied at point A. So what about point B then? Again at point B also you can see the marginal revenue equals to the marginal cost. And what about the second condition? The marginal cost curve is sloping upwards. The second condition also satisfied at point B. So therefore, the firm has to take the quantity 2 as the optimum quantity, which satisfies the both conditions where marginal revenue equals the marginal cost, as well as the marginal cost curve is sloping upwards. So let's look at that with an example. So here in this particular example you are given with certain quantities, and you can see price is same at whatever the quantity, and based on these two the total revenue is calculated, and here in the next column you are given the total cost figures for each quantity levels. And then in the next column, the marginal revenue is calculated. You know how to calculate marginal revenue. It's the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity. And you can see the marginal revenue equals to the price. And then in the next column, the marginal cost is calculated. Again, you know how to calculate marginal cost. It is the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity. So you have the marginal cost also. So let's pick the 2 points where marginal cost equals to the marginal revenue. So if you look at these 2 columns, you can find at quantity 2, the marginal revenue equals to the marginal cost, as well as at quantity 9, marginal revenue equals to the marginal cost. So let's look at which point the profit is maximized. So here in this column you have the profit figures. The economic profit is calculated as the difference between the total revenue and the total cost. So based on this column, the total revenue and the total cost curve, the profit figures are calculated. So you can see at the beginning you have economic losses up to here, and thereafter economic profit is there, and towards the latter part again there are economic losses. So let's go back to the two quantity levels where you find the marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So let's take the first one at quantity 2. Even though the marginal revenue equals marginal cost, it gives you an economic loss. But what happens at quantity 9 when again your marginal revenue equals to marginal cost? There you can find an economic profit, and also you can see that is the point where you can have the maximum economic profit from all the different quantities which gives you profits. That particular point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost gives you the highest profit. So let's look at how the second condition came into play here. So we have found that at quantity level 2, the marginal revenue equals to marginal cost, but you can see the behavior of marginal cost curve. It was decreasing. So in our previous graph, if you can recall, that was the point A. But at quantity 9, you can see at that particular phase, the marginal cost curve is increasing. So here you have the second condition. So only quantity level 9 satisfies both the conditions where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, as well as the marginal cost curve is increasing. So if we draw the graph for this particular example, you can see that here at quantity level 2, even though the marginal revenue equals to marginal cost, it gives you an economic loss. So therefore that quantity should not be taken as the optimum quantity, but the point A, again, where your marginal revenue equals to the marginal cost, as well as when the marginal cost curve is sloping upwards, you can have the maximum economic profit, and that particular quantity level is taken as the optimum quantity to be produced. So thank you very much and God bless you all.